The society, the Indian society is the most diverse society. The society itself is culturally diverse, socially diverse, and therefore the needs of the society are extremely different as compared to other societies. We are in the process of globalization, and therefore the cultural changes, the technological changes, the social changes, they are influencing our education. Now, to understand that and to address to these changes, we need to make changes in our planning. We also need to make changes in our behavior. We also need to make changes in our developmental processes. For example, when we are talking about the technological change, we know that the technology has influenced the young generation the most. The young generation who brought up with the technology know how to handle it better than teachers. Now, therefore, it is a necessity to train this teacher so that they will be technologically competent and they will know what the students they are also knowing. The technological changes not only influences the training of teachers, but you also need to have the infrastructural changes in your institution which can help to bring about the technological changes or to implement these technological changes. The cultural changes also has influenced the education. We say that when the schools, they were the part of a very small community, so the students from only that restricted community would come to school who are sharing more or less a same culture. So when the culture is more or less same, then there is no need, or rather there will be very few arguments about cultural beliefs. But in the process of globalization, we are having students from different cultures. The students themselves are coming from the different parental culture. Now, different parental culture definitely influences the personality of the child. And now we also have cultural diversity in the classrooms. Do we need to make changes in our teaching learning? Do we need to make changes in the mental setup of our teachers? And for that, the education management will help to identify the needs of the teachers. So when we talk about the influence of these changes, we are thinking about what are the new knowledge, what are the new skills, and what are the new knowledge we can provide to our teachers as well as students. The organizations, they are established by the society to achieve particular goal. Now, when we are in the process of achieving goal, we need to understand human behavior, we need to understand the development, we need to understand the development of the organization and so many other things. Now, the education management help us to understand the different concepts which are associated with the management. For example, there are various theories regarding leadership. Now, these theories of leadership talks about how the leaders are behaving and how the leadership style influences the behavior of teacher and ultimately the efficiency and the effectiveness of the organization. If we as a manager are aware about our own leadership style, then we can make changes in our own style, or wherever it is needed, we can make changes. It is not necessary that every human being has same capacity or having the same temperament. The human being are carrying different temperaments. As an education manager, if we are aware about the different motivation theories, it will help us to understand our teachers, our students. It will definitely help us to solve our problem in more constructive way, so that the democratic atmosphere can be maintained and everybody's voice can be heard in the organization. Now, this is very necessary for the development of the organization, And therefore, when we are talking about understanding people, we are not only understanding their behavior, but we are also trying to understand the reasons for the behavior and of course our own behavior. So education management is helping us to understand various concepts of management, different theories of management and different aspects. This is also helping the education manager to plan the activities in more systematic way, because if we know that what are the different activities which are to be conducted for the development of student, then we can plan those activities in such a way that the child will be benefited the most. So we may take the help of parents, we may take help of the expert, and there are so many people who are always ready to help the education institutions. This will help to make our organizations more efficient as well as effective. The next important point to be discussed for the need of education management is that every society expects the education institution should be proactive. Proactive means we must take the initiation, because the initiation taken by the education institution have an impact on a larger society, and therefore they are expecting the proactive behavior from the education. When I say from education, it means from people who are working in the field of education, from the people who are working at the policy level. Then they are also expecting schools to perform some role. There are various examples which we can see or we can mention which help to change our society to a very large extent. There is one example that in some part of Rajasthan there were no female child for last many years, or maybe last 10 years. It is not possible by nature that there is no female child was born, but it was a practice that if the female child is born, then she was killed. And because it was a small community, the things were not came on the surface. There was one teacher in this community and he got a baby girl and he decided to brought up that girl child. Is it not a major step? And because he was a teacher, the community had a respect for that teacher. Now this is a major change to bring a mental setup of those people. So here the teacher's small effort to continue our girl child, to brought her up as an individual, has changed the mindset of people, and therefore a small step by the teacher played important role in development of a positive attitude of the society towards females. The education management also help to prepare leaders. We say that the leaders is a relative term. Our teachers are leader in the classroom, our students are also leaders, and our principals are also leaders. Now when we are talking about the development of human being at different levels, can we develop leadership skills among students? Yes, we can. Can we develop our teachers as leaders? Yes, we can. Now these leaders which we will be developing, they will represent us in different areas and in the world, and therefore the knowledge of education management will help us to analyze, to identify the potentiality of human beings and develop their potentiality so that they will be a good leader, they will be a good managers. So we have discussed about the need of this education management. Now coming to the next point, that is the significance of education management. Now how this education management is helpful, or it has played a very significant role in the field of education. The first and the most important thing is that the knowledge of education management has helped in developing the different processes in a systematic way, which are planning, organizing, selecting, staffing, controlling, delegating, decision making, so on and so forth. A person who is having the knowledge about these processes will go in a very scientific way, and therefore education management helped a lot to many institutions to perform in a systematic way. It also has contributed to achieve the goals of education at the wider level and at the specific level as well. Now, when we talk about implementation of right to education, it is a decision which is taken by our government, and this has to be implemented. When we are talking about the inclusive education within a right to education, then it is a responsibility of each of us to achieve the task and to welcome inclusive education. Now, the knowledge of education management help us to achieve this task, to achieve this goal. Now, how it is going to achieve the goal? Say for example, when a state government is going to collect a data that what are the different types of students we are having. So, are these students from different cultures? Are we having students who are with different abilities? Now, what all the policies we are going to make to help these children? So, the state government can plan these activities, or rather it has been, because of the RTE, it has been made compulsory that the schools cannot deny admission to any of the students on the basis of the gender, the race, the sex, any other cultural diversity. So, when we are talking about the inclusive education and we are going to accept the students maybe from the rural area, we have to plan for some special help for those students who are coming from this area. Sometimes we are also going to get students who have faced a natural calamities. They are into the trauma. How are we going to help them? So, these students who are coming from these areas where the natural calamities have actually ruined their life, the education helps them to understand and to plan out the activities. Activities, in a sense, these children, they are given a special counseling treatment. They have been given some programs wherein they have to come out of their sorrow and they have to adjust themselves, because the natural calamities are one which ruined everybody's life in few seconds. So, we as a human being are not mentally prepared for that. So, the education system wants to address to all these small little things which are going to help us in a long run. The next contribution of this education management to the field is that education management helps in creating conducive environment in the institution. When we talk about the conducive environment, it is the environment which is helping every individual to develop his and her potentialities. It is a student, it is a teacher and also a leader. So, when we understand the learning environment, how to create it in a systematic way, then it helps to develop all the skills and the knowledge and the values of students as well as teachers. The knowledge of education management also helps to understand resources. Many times when there is a space which is not used by the school for anything, it is just lying like that. Now, the knowledge of that management will help the principal to understand that space is a resource. Now, can we convert this space into a learning zone? Yes, we can. So, our knowledge and understanding of resources, what we need to change is we need to broaden up our understanding of resources. So when we are trying to understanding things as resources, nothing is a waste. So everything which is available in the institution is my resource. And if we can stick to this understanding, then no matter whether your organization is small or it is big, the every corner of the organization will be used for learning. The knowledge of education management also help to make institution very efficient and effective. We have said that when we are talking about efficiency, we are talking about numbers, and when we are talking about effectiveness, we are talking about qualities. So the knowledge of education management help the organization to understand what are their needs and how they can achieve the goals through different methods, or rather through different processes. And these processes, if are carried out by this institution in a proper way, then they can very easily achieve the goals and they can go for the next goals. Specifically coming to the organizations, the knowledge of education management help to resolve the conflicts, to cope up with the stress, to cope up with the available time, and it also help leader to understand people. Everyone in the organization has stress, whether it is a principal, whether it is a teacher, or whether it is a student. Principal is stressed out because the principal has to give results. Teachers are also stressed out because they want to enhance the results. And the students are also stressed out because they have to complete the studies. Now, how to handle the stress or how to utilize our time as a resource? It can be understood if we can have a knowledge of education management techniques. So the management techniques like stress management techniques, time management techniques, they are going to help us to improve the performance, and therefore this has contributed a lot in the development of teachers as well as students. The education management also help a leader to understand his or her role, because understanding one's role is also extremely important for the further development. The development of an individual help not only to the individual but also to the organization, and therefore the education management has significantly contributed in understanding the role of managers, and it also helps to understand the roles of teachers, because it is the manager who has to think about the resources, who has to work with the resources, and who has to make use of these resources optimally to achieve the goal. And therefore this understanding of self and others means not only human but also the infrastructural or physical resources available with the organization. So this is again one more contribution of the knowledge of education management.